When I think about a film, I don't start thinking about like themes like technology and youth. When we don't see technology in my films, we don't see phones. Sometimes we do, but even when we don't, like technology is there in the way we look at the world, we look at the others, we communicate, and all of that. So I like to think technology in my films like in that way, as like something that even if we see two characters like walking in the jungle, I think like internet and technology is a part of them.
Parece un día triste de invierno, parece que estás enojado, parece un campamento del club, parece una canción de Virus, parece un disco de Virus, parece que estás cansado, parece que no me querés más.
When I started making films in different countries, I made films in Vietnam, in Sierra Leone, in Mozambique. This one we are showing here is in Guinea-Bissau. And I realized that the relation to technology was something that we shared very easily with all the people I met, with some changes sometimes, but the core of technology being a part of our lives and a part of our socialization.
Parece Rocho Flogger, parece que estás leyendo lo que estoy escribiendo, parece un día que te hace acordar a otro día, parece que mi corazón late tranquilo hoy.
And then of course I started realizing how it related to other things I'm interested about, like work and the world of young people and not so young, working in things that are not good for us or that are not interesting at all. And then I started realizing, I don't know, how like in one part I was thankful or I saw many positive things in technology and the use of internet and my computer and cell phone, but then of course there's like the way in which they're produced and everything, and even if the people that we are using it, but we are also like caught by it.
Parece que la gente está más callada, parece tu pelo en el cielo, parece otro modelo de felicidad.
For me, of course, it's very important to decide which camera I will use in each project. Sometimes it's some ideas I have, sometimes it's just the possibilities, like some restrictions, budget or place, but I really like to, that's part of my films, and doing my films is of course like facing restrictions and thinking how to solve them, and sometimes maybe those solutions are more interesting than my first ideas. So here I just knew I wanted a small camera because I wanted to be in the streets of the city, and I shot in some cities, but of course with big cameras you attract the attention of many people because it's a huge thing and a strange thing in the city, but a small camera nowadays is more normal, so no one cares so much. And I wanted to have a little bit of the documentary aspect of the cities and just people doing their thing without being disturbed.
Parece el ulular de una sirena, parece el ruido de una bici, parece el olfato de un perro, parece la paz animal, parece el celu del Brian.
And also because I didn't want them to be thinking about the camera while they are acting. So with this camera, as it shoots like 360, means that it creates a sphere of image. So it shoots sort of everywhere, so you don't have to like frame during the shooting, so people could carry the camera without having to be thinking in the frame.
Parece una vieja parando el bondi de la mano de enfrente, parece un lugar seco y fresco, ideal para guardar alimentos, parece la hermana de alguien, parece el reinado del semen y la cigüeña, parece Alfred Hitchcock esto.
I was surprised about the process because framing in post-production was a new thing for me, and very different from framing when you are in the place, like, and things are happening and your head is in many places at the same time, which is also interesting. But here it was a new thing of being able to frame while I was in another place, revisiting the images, just focused on that with a poem, because there's a long poem in the film, with a poem like in my head.
Parece una vieja placa CPU, parece que no soy yo y soy Fran, parece una manada, parece más nada.
So I think it was interesting because in the shooting system changes a lot, because I wanted all the image to be usable. When you have a film camera that is huge, that makes sounds that you are not used to seeing or being in front of, and you, especially when you're a non-professional actor and you who don't have experience, it's very different. And for the technical team also, it's very different. When we shoot in film, we know we can only maybe do 2 takes because that's the film we have. So it creates a different tension around what we are doing. And then when we use a small camera, it's people are more used to having these small cameras in front of them, so it's more invisible in some way, and we know we can repeat some more times, but of course it's not forever, because then energies drop and energies change. But it gives you different ways of working and different results in the bodies of the people we see, I think, because their tension is different, and I think their way of inventing or not inventing, or improvising or not improvising, changes also. In my mind, there is one element that's very like natural life of the city. That means things that are happening and not because of the film. And then there's another part that's fictional, and it's things we are inventing and we are playing and we are not. In my part, I give ideas that maybe are not related specifically to the city or the place, and then as the people that are in the film are from there, they take them as they want or as they can, and then they give their own ideas or just improvise or just do whatever they want, and I think that's the element that comes more from what the city is. I think for me it's important to work in that way with an open script, and even in my head many things are open, but I had to learn to do this maybe, because I remember at the beginning I already have this idea of, okay, I have the script but we won't respect it necessarily. But then I realized maybe it's not so simple as saying we are not respecting the script. You have to, I think you have to generate the structure or the way of working or the feeling that enables this. Of course, I think I don't have that way of looking at others in general. I think we can have that way of observing, even if in our own city, in our own neighborhood, in our own family. I mean, I think it's a way of seeing the other, but even if I don't believe I have that way, I also try to, I also learn that many things we don't believe we have, sometimes we can have them because, I don't know, we are not conscious about it. So even if I don't think it, I'm aware, and I try to be aware of my different positions in different places, in different moments, in different, I don't know, relations. I'm also far away when I'm here now in Europe, but no one tells me like, why did you come so far, you know, because I think many people believe that here is not far, and in Mozambique it's so far, but...
Abstracto.
What I try to do in my films that relates a bit to that is more like going to another continent or going to a city I don't know much about and trying to relate and to share my ideas with others, and all of that. It's similar in some way, but very different in scale, I think. So I think there's some relation there, you know. I mean, and of course in my head and my ideas for the film, I was curious about how this poem, that in many ways is very Argentinian, very, not even Argentinian, but very Buenos Aires, very from the city, very, I don't know, gay from Buenos Aires. It has a lot of slang that maybe some people don't use, many people don't use in Buenos Aires. So it has a lot of very specific things that at the first glance, you wouldn't think that could relate with, I don't know, with LGBT group in Guinea-Bissau, the capital of Guinea-Bissau. So I was curious about how this would come together or not. And I think, in my opinion, in the film, finally, it's always like this, you know, like coming together and also not having anything to do and then relating, and then it depends on the spectator also. But I really like this relation, but I went to the film with the curiosity of what's going to happen more than with the decision, you know. It does it to resume, I think it does relate to alterity, but in a different way, and I think that's the interesting part of coming together, the poem and the film and the people in the film and everything.